May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be always acceptable to you, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer. Amen. Please be seated. In 1999, the acronym Y2K was known all over the world. It meant year 2000, and it was the most anticipated and prepared for non-crisis of my lifetime. Computer codes had crept into banking systems, air traffic systems, and business commerce systems. Computers had changed the way the world transacted business. But there was a fly in the ointment. Some software and hardware had been designed without imagining the possibility of the date odometer rolling over the first digit of the year. So 1997, 98, 99, all that was fine. But what would happen when the date was suddenly January 1, 2000? Would software programs stop? Would banking stop? Would airplanes fall out of the sky? The hype over this question was huge. We bought Y2K software patches, we upgraded our hardware, and frankly, most of us just crossed our fingers. On December 31st, 1999, there were epic New Year's Eve parties in London, Paris, New York City, all the big cities. My husband and I decided to do something quite different. We would camp in Big Bend National Park. We knew that Big Bend is a desert, so we packed our tent, sleeping bags, blankets. We even threw in ski jackets. And early on December 31st, we set off for Big Bend. As we set up camp, we were wearing t-shirts and shorts and complaining about the heat as the sun was beating down on us. Then we sat in camp chairs and watched as the sun slipped behind a mountain peak. That was the first moment we noticed the chill in the air. I pulled on sweatpants and a sweatshirt, and the sun continued to set. Then I dragged blankets from the tent. By nightfall, I was wearing the ski jacket and ski gloves, and eventually I was too cold to worry about what kind of chaos was going to happen at midnight. And so we went into the sleeping bags with all of our jackets and gloves and sweatshirts on. We awoke to the sunrise. We boiled some water, made hot tea. By the time we'd finished the tea, we had shed the ski jackets and the gloves. And after breakfast, we hiked in shorts and shirts. In Exodus, God has been writing an epic tale about God's work among the Israelites. Moses became a leader, an intermediary between God and the Israelites. Moses negotiated the freeing of God's people, and God parted the sea and led them out of Egypt. But now they are in a desert, hungry, cold, and wishing they were back in Egypt. For those of us who've read the whole story, we know that this desert experience is a liminal space, a place where the Israelites must leave something behind before they are ready to receive something new. Who are these people God has led to the desert? We know them as his chosen people, but here in the desert, they are refugees, a people with no zip code, no housing, no vocation, no money, no food, no employer. These people have been enslaved for generations. They served Egypt, not as an act of generosity, but simply to survive. They are spiritual refugees. They understand that power and bondage go hand in hand, and this they must leave behind before God will lead them from the desert. The desert is a time of struggle for them. Nothing is the way it used to be. On the night of December 31st, 1999, as the world celebrated the new millennium, David and I watched the stars emerge on a clear desert sky. Orion's belt and the Big Dipper were so vivid, we felt like we could just reach out and grab them. We weren't worried about the hands on any clocks that night. Time in that place is measured by the sun's warmth, and the moon's phase. For that one night, we were unplugged from civilization and culture. We were plugged into the majesty and mystery of God's creation. But the Israelites were making a different desert journey. No doubt they saw a similar canvas of stars, but they did not pack for a night in the desert. Whatever food they may have brought has long since run out. There's no water, and there's no SUV at the trailhead ready to whisk them back to their homes in Egypt. I think the darkest hour of their struggle is realizing the fragility of their existence in the desert. They need Yahweh. And Yahweh will meet each need with generosity. It is a turning point in their relationship with God. Eventually, they will be prepared to enter a new covenant with Yahweh. Y2K was a particular event with a very particular timetable. There were tremendous external pressures for us to solve a pending crisis. But liminal space is different. There are no external pressures. The impetus to move through liminal space is entirely internal. I wonder if all of us are like the Israelites, if we are all in a liminal space moving from what was to whatever God imagines for us next. Surely St. Christopher's is in an obvious liminal space. We are between homes. We are refugees who have received the gift of welcome in space at St. Matthew's. But the witness of the Israelites is that liminal space is not just about the bookends of where we lived and where we will live. Liminal space is also about the relationship we used to have with God and the relationship God desires with us now. God is preparing us for something new. There is noticeable energy here. I wrote to Canon Sailors this week thanking her for choosing to worship with us last Sunday, and she wrote back, quote, "It is great to see St. Christopher's thriving." And we are. It's not just about the numbers, but of course CPAs love numbers. But every week, people bring great ideas for programs and ministries. Everyone here is invested in the ministry of our congregation and the ministries of our people. We are leaning into God's calling for St. Christopher's. This is what other people see in us, and they name it thriving. It is an exciting time in the life of this congregation. May God continue to lead us and guide us into deeper relationship with one another, with our community, and most importantly, with God. Amen. Please stand as together we affirm our faith, saying the Nicene Creed. We believe in one God, the Father, the Almighty, maker of heaven and earth, of all that is seen and unseen. We believe